folks. Last one of Stronger for a little while. And then we're going to come back just the week before Easter week and run those 2 weeks and deal with Easter themes. So we're going to take a break. And that's because, Brent and Ange are young, but they burn out on me. Oh. So it's question and answers tonight. We're going to finish off the week. And it's been faith all week long. And it's all through this series of Time to Move On.
Yeah.
It really is about faith. And the practice of faith through the patriarchs and obviously Elijah's journey here. Yeah. So I think, Brent, you're up on this one to start with.
Yeah. We've been talking about all week fear and faith and how those kind of go together. But you mentioned something in the last episode where you talked, or 2 episodes ago, where you talked about actually Charles kind of had an interaction with God where he saw this mountaintop and the path up to the mountaintop that was rugged and rocky and looked really difficult. And then he saw the other path.
I can hardly wait till he paints his picture.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Saw the other path that looked easy, and which path is God's path? And he said, obviously, it's the mountaintop one. And so my question for today is, why is the path of faith so daunting and difficult? Why does it look that way?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be so hard?
Yeah. Well, and it's a good question. Well, it's because it is daunting, number one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just take the picture that you just brought up. You asked the question very well. Yeah. So you got, and this is your father-in-law. So he just works with pictures so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just, absolutely. I appreciate his talents and gifts.
Gift,
but it's daunting because he's not at the mountaintop. He's down here, and you're looking at the top of the mountain here. You're looking at the best viewpoint in the land. And if you want to go there, you don't go down, you go up.
That's true.
You got to change your elevations. You got a lot more rocky and uncontrolled territory, as mountains tend to be as they go up.
Yeah.
And the other path led away into a nice green space, right, and all this. And it was, hey, fine, do you want to take that? And we said there's a broad way, narrow way, and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
It's daunting because of where you are in proximity to where you could be. So in a relationship, okay, let's just take it there. And we say, okay, as a couple, you're saying, man, I wish we had just a greater relaxation and peace with one another.
Yeah,
we scrap about all the stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I wish we were in a place where we could just really just enjoy ourselves again with each other, rather than have all this other stuff between us. And we long for the tops of the mountains.
Yep.
But we are often taking the path to the green valley thinking, okay, well, I just don't want to make that climb. But the climb is because of where you are and where you want to be.
Right.
And it's not that God throws it at you and says, I'm going to make you pay because you want something good.
Yeah.
No, God's just saying, you're not in the best place yet.
Yes.
And if you want to get there, I will give you the power and the help, the wisdom to get there. But it is your journey, not mine.
Yeah.
So if you want this relationship, let's take this road, and I'm going to help you. I will help get you there. Yeah. But you have to take it. And what will change is where you are to where you will be. And but it's just, that's the DNA of going to mountaintops. It's going to be more daunting.
That makes sense. And like, even if you know anyone who has set out to climb a mountain, like in real life physically, even, they'll look back on it and they'll never tell you that, oh yeah, getting prepared for this mountain was easy. Even the training was easy. Like, none of it is easy. It takes work, it takes intentionality, it takes attention, it takes all that stuff. So,
sure does.
So it makes sense. Even just the preparation to do the actual task can be difficult.
Yes. Decision. We are good at wanting things.
Yeah.
And actually, this is what we want, right? And I'm sticking with the relational world. There's so many things that I could bring that up. Okay, well, even if you go to money.
Yeah.
we want to get to the point where we can really bless others and in our family be able to be strong and all of this, and we want to get there. Okay, well then you're looking at a mountaintop.
Yes.
That's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So where do you start? Where you are. And it becomes daunting because you always see where you are and say, oh, how are we ever going to?
Right.
Well, you're going to take a path.
One step.
And it's going to go up, and it's going to test you, and it's going to push you. And but at the same time, God's going to help you because it's a good goal. It's a good plan. But you're going to have to walk this path. You can stand and gaze at it all day long, year after year. And it's never going to happen until you actually take on the path. The path is daunting because you're here, and that financial point over here is up here.
Right.
So that's why.
Yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
But it's not easier necessarily to stay where you were and to stay in that, if it's finances, debt, and whatever else, that's hard too, right? So either way is going to be hard, really. It's got its own set of challenges.
Yeah, I think we can lie to ourselves and say, well, if I stay here, it'll just be easier. It'll just be safer or whatever. But if you're already kind of living in that chaos or the relational chaos, then no, it's actually not.
Exactly.
That's why you have to evaluate where you are.
That's right, be honest.
You have to be very clear about
Honestly,
that.
yeah.
So what about those mountaintops then? Like I think about mountaintop times, and they're refreshing and re-energizing and feel so good.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I start to feel that, oh, what is this preparing me for? This kind of dread.
Too good to be true.
It's
Too
like
good to be true, yeah.
It's like hitting the peak only to see another peak.
What's with that?
It's a joy question. It's a joy question.
Okay.
And this is something where, see, just because Elijah's in the ravine doesn't mean he has to wait for joy. Because joy is not first circumstantial.
Right.
Joy is something that's going to drive from your inside.
Right.
And so, and just because he's in a journey of 100 miles of insecurity doesn't mean he has to be absent of joy. Or just because he's going to a widow that has enough for one last meal doesn't have to, again, keep him from joy. Joy is something that we don't quite get, and when we circumstantialize it, we're missing what joy is, and we're really dealing only with happiness.
Yeah.
So I will take this example: the Apostle Paul and Silas. They are in prison in Philippi, and they've been beaten. Their backs are bloodied. They are locked into it says the dungeon, the inner dungeon, the darkest part of this, the jail, the Roman jail there. And it's midnight, and they're singing songs. They're singing hymns leading up into midnight here. Right. So that's joy.
Yeah.
They're expressing their worship and their joy of God and even of suffering for God.
Right.
They're having a joyful moment in the middle of all of this. How is that possible? Right. Because if it had to permeate from the outside in, it would never happen. So they were bringing joy, and it so unhinged the prison and the prisoners that the prisoners, once an earthquake came right at midnight and all the stocks fell off, the things open up, the chief of the prison comes in, he thinks everybody's left, all of the prisoners have stayed. And I believe it's because of the joy, the so unbelievably different approach to being full of life.
Right.
And then there's the times that if you compare that with Paul's journey, and you take Paul, and another time, let's put Paul along the hillside, along the Mediterranean on a nice sunny summer afternoon, and he just had a great meeting, and he's getting those one moment of respite, enjoying the beautiful birds and the white puffy clouds and the blue sky and the Mediterranean water and the beaches down below his little hillside there. You got it? Oh, it's just one of those moments, and he's feeling a joy, and it's connected also. It's here, but it's also out here.
Right.
And he's seeing the circumstances out here are so perfect. What relationship does he have to those circumstances? He's taking from them, and he's bringing it inward. Okay?
Yeah.
He already has it, but it's a good match at that moment. In the other one, it's not like that.
not a good
He's
match.
bringing joy from the inside to an awful, ugly stuff.
Yep.
Right.
Now, at the end of his life, he looks back on these two moments of joy. Which one do you think he remembers the most? The one in which the chief jailer gets saved. He's kept from suicide. He gets saved. His family's saved. They're baptized. A church is planted in Philippi. And he's out of jail in his home, and he leads them all to Christ. Which do you think at the end of his life he's reflecting back to and saying, wow, what an amazing moment in my life?
Totally. Prison, big time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember that when you're in the fight you're in.
Yep.
It's what's going to drive out of here is going to create the biggest moments of your life, not what you can bring from out here in or even match between the two. It's when it doesn't match and you're bringing it all from here because of God's grace in your life, and you're pouring joy through your life with a full living experience that others are sharing in, other prisoners are experiencing, and they don't even leave their cells and run for it because there's something too unbelievable going on. I gotta see the end of this movie.
Yep.
That can be your life. Don't look for joy to be its richest companion just on mountaintops. Look for it to be your richest companion when you actually have to drive it from here and not from the view. God bless.